Day after the National Green Tribunal lashed out at the state governments for not taking the pollution problem seriously, the environment watchdog today decided to hold fire, at least for now. The Heavy Industries Ministry has also intervened. It has urged the NGT to not pass a blanket ban on big diesel cars across the country. Ashmit Kumar, who's been in the court tracking all those developments, now joins us. Ashmit, would you construe this as partial relief or a partial softening of stand as far as NGT is concerned?
Right, so the big question before the National Green Tribunal or the NGT was whether or not the diesel vehicle ban currently in place in Delhi can be expanded to the other metros. And that was one question that was fiercely opposed not just by the automakers but also the Heavy Industries Ministry. Now, we understand that Siam was first off the blocks in terms of arguments. Siam argued that this is a crucial sector as far as the economy is concerned, that they have contributed, have invested a great deal of money, that there are other sources of pollution that need to be appreciated, and that a sledgehammer-like approach cannot be adopted by the National Green Tribunal. Now, this approach was in fact complemented by the Heavy Industries Ministry. The ministry argued before the NGT that the auto sector alone was responsible for 8% of the FDI under the Make in India scheme, that it contributes for a large chunk of employment as far as the manufacturing space is concerned, that the ministry is contemplating upon various measures for tackling air pollution, that they've also advanced the BS6 emission norms to 2020. So there's a lot on the plate as far as the ministry is concerned. And on the back of these arguments, we understand that the NGT currently has hit the pause button. It hasn't expanded the scope of the diesel vehicle ban order. What it has done, however, issued notices to 11 states seeking data with respect to cities that are worst affected due to air pollution, the number of vehicles in such cities, the population of such cities, the quality of air standards. This is the data that needs to be furnished by the states within 3 weeks from now. We'll see further hearing in this case on July 11th. Back to you.
Indeed, some relief, but of course we need to keep in mind in perspective that the fact that the Delhi NCR ban still continues at least till July, when the Supreme Court will hear that matter once again. But as of now, it's restricted to Delhi NCR. Earlier today, I also caught up with Heavy Industries Minister Anant Geete. In fact, he very categorically warned that banning diesel vehicles will have an adverse impact on the investment climate and also lead to job losses.
पर्यावरण का संतुलन बनाए रखने की आवश्यकता है, उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। लेकिन पर्यावरण की चिंता करते वक्त जो हमारी ऑटो इंडस्ट्री है, उस ऑटो इंडस्ट्री के बारे में भी सोचने की आवश्यकता है। बहुत निवेशक हमारे देश में निवेश करना चाहते हैं, उन्होंने निवेश किया है, हजारों करोड़ों का निवेश यहाँ इंडस्ट्री ने किया है, और निवेश के साथ साथ इस इंडस्ट्री में लाखों लोगों को रोजगार भी मिला है। तो पर्यावरण की चिंता करते हुए हमें इंडस्ट्री को भी बचाने का प्रयास करने की आवश्यकता है और रोजगार को भी बचाने की आवश्यकता है। तो जब भी कोई निर्णय करे तो इन सारी बातों पर विचार करके ही निर्णय हो।
आपको डर लगता है कि अगर ये बैन कंटिन्यूड हो, क्योंकि एनजीटी का यही था कि ये और सिटीज में होना चाहिए, नहीं इन्वेस्टमेंट और जॉब लॉस हो सकता है, इन्वेस्टमेंट लॉस और जॉब लॉस हो सकता है?
निश्चित रूप में होगा, जॉब लॉस भी होगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट लॉस भी होगा, और हमारे इकोनॉमी पर भी उसका बहुत बुरा असर होगा।
And to understand the industry's perspective now, I'm joined by Naveen Soni of Toyota Kirloskar Motor. Naveen, thanks very much for joining us here on The Big Picture. Are you partly relieved with what the NGT has said today? Because at least till yesterday, going by the observation the NGT had made yesterday, many were perhaps bracing for this diesel ban sort of being extended beyond Delhi. So in that sense, is there a bit of relief now?
In that sense, yes, you could say that there is a bit of a relief in terms of, what is the current situation. We are able to understand very clearly. What we've been saying from day one is that as far as the diesel ban is concerned, this is being debated in the Honorable Supreme Court. And in the Supreme Court, it has not been concluded in terms of the pollution caused by vehicles. Of course, there is pollution that we all see in these major cities. But how much of it is caused by vehicles is what we've been trying to say. And amongst vehicles also, the larger vehicles, why 2000cc vehicles are being singled out, is what we've been asking. We've been saying in the courts that the end of the result, whatever studies that are available, it's a minuscule 0.13% impact on pollution that is being caused by such vehicles. And by banning newer vehicles which adopt the latest technology, what message are you trying to give? Because these vehicles are, in the end of the day,
No,
approved
let's
by
accept one thing,
the
Naveen. No,
government
no,
of
hang
India,
on, Naveen,
and they
hang
are
on. The
sold
fact is,
after they are certified.
this has been, Naveen, this has been the standard argument of the auto industry. Why are you banning clean BS4 vehicles, whereas BS1, 2, 3 vehicles are clearly far more polluting? But the fact of the matter is the government is taking steps. In that regard, they have announced, at least they have come out with a white paper on a scrappage scheme. So let's just, let's not lose perspective of the fact that it's not that the government is sort of encouraging the use of BS 123 compliant vehicles. But my pointed question to you, Naveen, is the fact that why didn't the auto industry do something about it? The fact is this whole diesel controversy, concerns about diesel as a fuel has been there since the late 1990s. So why didn't the auto industry, especially manufacturers like you, start de-risking your business model and actually have more of a petrol focus? Now, of course, that many manufacturers have, mostly like in especially companies like you, Mahindra, Tata Motors, have a big diesel portfolio. That is why it's hurting you. Why didn't you do something about this earlier?
See, what we need to understand is that as far as put a perspective to this, when we launched the Innova, it was available both in petrol and diesel models. But finally, what was happening is 99.999% of the cars was being sold in diesel because of the fuel subsidies that were extended to the fuel. So this is not because that we were not ready with the technology, whether it is the latest Euro 4 technologies, whether it is the petrol technologies, that is available in the stable, that was available in the stable. And then we had to discontinue because there was no customer preference for such cars. That is what we are trying to say. And given that fact, we would sell what the customer wants. Now today, if there is such a strong wave against diesel, so to say, so then we are modifying and are looking at our product portfolio, but it takes time. You cannot just switch on and switch off. That's what need to be considered.
No, indeed, as 99.99% customers wanted a diesel vehicle, as you yourself answered my question, is the fact that because of the subsidy and a fair argument that many industry, many NGOs and government related associations are making is that why should the well-off benefit on a subsidy which is not meant for them in the first place?
But it's a question of customer preference. Diesel, by nature, you need to consider some more facts that has to be put on table. Next year, we have the CAFE norm setting into this country. When CAFE norms set in, you will have to have a diesel vehicle in your portfolio because diesel, by nature, is a more fuel-efficient engine, 20 to 25% more of a similar size engine. If you take petrol versus diesel, diesel will produce better fuel efficiencies. This is what would be necessary for meeting such norms. That is one. As far as diesel is concerned, diesel is being blamed for particulate matters. But how about petrol in that case? Petrol has its own, how should I say, emissions. Carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide is produced by petrol, which causes global warming. So each fuel has...
the World Health Organization...
Yeah, each fuel will have its own peculiarities that need to
be... Absolutely. They may have their own peculiarities, but the World Health Organization has actually identified diesel engine exhaust as carcinogenic, which can cause cancer. So clearly, I mean, while there may be peculiarities, clearly, when it comes to diesel, it appears at this stage, that the risks posed by a diesel engine is a lot more than the risk posed by petrol or a CNG engine. But just coming back to the industry's position as far as this matter is concerned, help us understand, because I think for the longest time there was an impression that the industry is standing together. They have one firm view. But we saw before the Supreme Court went into vacation, the Supreme Court then had given a hint that they are willing to lift the ban if the industry agrees to accept a cess. At that point in time, what sources within the industry were telling us is that companies like Toyota and Mercedes were more in favor of a cess to lift the ban, as against some of the other companies. What is Toyota's position then, Naveen, when it comes to the cess versus ban debate?
See, it's a question of doing business. At this point of time, whose business is impacted? You must understand that. If you're talking about bigger engines, more than 2000 cc engines, there are a few OEMs whose business is impacted. You have a scenario where 6 months are dealerships which have invested crores of rupees to invest to run a franchise. have been impacted. They have not been able to sell cars. They have fixed costs which they have to cover. So if that is the condition, then we are asking, what do you want from us to allow us to do business in this country? If cess is the only answer, so be it.
How much cess are you willing to accept? What does your internal study tell you that
It's
up
not
to
a
this
question of
much,
how much cess
you know,
we are willing to accept,
we will be able to withstand, the sales will not be impacted. What does the internal study say?
See, you need to understand once again that this is something that would be charged to the customer. If you're already having a situation where diesel vehicles at the initial selling price itself, there's a huge difference between petrol and diesel, you know. So if that is the case, then the customer would be willing to see what is the amount that he's willing to pay in the long run, that his cost of ownership is not impacted, which means if he's owning a diesel car, which say initially is slightly higher than the petrol, but if he's running it over a period of time, he's able to recover that cost, then he would be willing to pay that. So it's not for what we should decide is reasonable or not reasonable. It is for the, and as far as the industry is concerned, just to answer your question again, we had one lawyer, we were standing united, and we were saying to everybody that we as SIAM, through SIAM, have been representing one voice.
You say one voice, but Mercedes-Benz has come out in an interview to us last week, has said that they are willing to come out with a BS6 compliant vehicle by 2018. So clearly, Mercedes has broken out of the united stand that the auto industry has taken on this issue. But thank you so very much, Naveen Soni, and giving us really and helping us understand, the other side of the argument, really what the industry has to go through because of this diesel uncertainty. Thank you very much for joining us here on The Big Picture.